This is William Brown, and this is what my first portfolio projects that I'm doing. This is a Blackjack program that I made about a year ago, and this mainly uses the terminal functionality. So I'll just get that out of the way. Later on, I might just upgrade this to a GUI or something like that, but for right now, this is just for the terminal interaction. So to start off, we have our instance variables up here. The first one is card value used and unused. This is basically a int array, uh, basically filled with values to tell whether or not the card has been used or not. We have int value, which is an int array to hold the values of each card. String cn is basically the card name, and cns is a shortened version of it. Hand p, hand o, and hand are just strings to hold the hands of both players, and hand is just normally used for the actual methods, and then hand o and hand p are used to basically compare both of their hands um, at the end of the game. So HVP, and HVO is basically hand value. So HV is just basically a data that just holds the value of the hand. HV is basically the final value of the hand value that you have, and then HVO is the same thing but for the opponent side. And then I have int I just so it's easier to type out for them for loops. Busted P and busted O are used to hold the values of the hand values for both players in case they bust in game. And then we have scanner up here, so it's accessible through all methods. So I'll just scroll down here to the different methods, and then we'll go back up and hit main. So the first method, set cards, this basically sets all the cards in the game. So it sets up it sets all the cards to unused in this for loop here. This for loop is used to set the values of each card in a game. So aces are supposed to be 1s and 11s, 2s, 3s, etc. All the way up into face cards, which are 10s, and then after the 13th card, you get to the 14th card, and it's going to assign that value to a 14. So in order to counteract the value being over 13, we have a couple if statements and subtracting the values by 13 until it gets less than 13. And then if it equals 11, then it's going to set the value to 11. Or if it equals 1, it's going to set the value to 11. And then if it's if the value is between 11 and 13, it's just going to set it to 10, basically meaning that it's going to set all the face cards to 10, and this if value up here is going to set all aces to 11. All this right here is going to set the names of each card. So you start off with ace of spades, two of spades, all the way over to king of clubs, and then CNS is to basically rename each card but in a shortened value so you're able to see it in game. So you got ace of spades shortened up here all the way over to king of clubs shortened down here. This next method is the draw method. So basically it's first going to check if all the cards are used up or not. If they are used, then we're just going to set them to unused, and then it's basically like shuffling a deck basically. And then this while true loop is just going to generate a random number between 1 and 52, and basically it's going to randomly pick a card, and if that card is unused, then it's going to use that number. So see, the unused value is going to be set to 1, meaning it is used, and then it's going to add the hand value it's going to add the value of that number to the hand value, which is why we have the HV up there. It's going to print out the card name in full, and it's going to add to that big old string the shown version of the card name. And then if H value is over 21, meaning we bust, and we have aces in our hand, this change method is going to change that value of an ace from 11 to 1. So we'll get to those methods in a bit. Check if empty. This int value right here is basically adding up all the used, the card value used values. And if they equal 52, meaning that all the cards have been used, and they've been set to 1, so it should equal 52 if all of them are used up. It's going to return true. If not, it's going to return false. And if it does return true, then it's going to set all of them back to -1, meaning they are unused. If it's false, then it's you have a couple cards in there that haven't been used yet. So check aces. This basically checks the hand if there is an A inside that hand. So if we have index of, if this value returns a -1, meaning there are no aces present, then it's going to return a false. If not, then it's going to turn true, meaning that there is an ace somewhere in there. So we're going to skip comp play for right now, and we'll go to compare, or not compare hands yet. We're going to go to change. So this checks to see if the hand has any of the aces inside of it. So we have ace of spades. If the hand has ace of spades, then this index of should return a 1, meaning it's not going to equal -1. If it's not present, then it's going to have a -1. So this basically says if it does not equal -1, meaning it is present, and its a value equals 11, then it's just going to subtract 10 from the hand value and set that value of the card back down to 1. And this basically does the same thing for ace of hearts, ace of diamonds, and ace of clubs. So if there is an ace of hearts present and the value is still 11, it's going to set that value back to 1. And same thing with diamonds and clubs. So now we'll go to computer play. This is basically simulating a computer's playthrough of the game. So it's going to draw twice. It's going to show the hand and score, and if the hand value is 17 or above, the computer's automatically going to stop drawing cards. So that's kind of like simulating house rules in casinos, where the dealer has to stop at 17 or above. But if their value is less than that, then they still got to keep drawing. So this enter any number to continue is basically like saying, it's basically kind of to slow the drawing down so that it's not all drawing at the same time. So if I were to remove this enter any number to continue, it's just going to keep drawing and printing out statements, and you won't understand what's going on. You won't understand what your opponent has. So this is just a easier way to see what's going on with your opponent. If it equals 21, then it's just going to say blackjack. If it's over 21 or less than 0, I just have this so it has that or statement. It says busted, and then it's going to add that value, hand value, to the best lot value, and it's going to reset the hand value to 0, so it makes comparing hands a lot more easier. So if the player, which is you, has a higher hand value than your opponent, it's going to return a 1, basically meaning you win. This is something that's used in the main method. So it's going to return a 1 if you have a higher value. If the opponent has a higher value, it's going to return a -1. And if it's equal to each other, then it's just going to turn a 0. So now that we got through all the methods, we are going to go back to main and see how this game is played, or how this game is ran. So we go to main. First thing you do is set all the cards. So it makes the names of each card, sets the used value to -1, meaning it's unused, and sets the value of the cards. So number cards are their respective numbers. Face cards are 10s. Aces are 1s or 11s. And yeah, so we have a do while loop just in case you want to play the game again. This value up here is just to reset the aces values back to 11 in case we had to change them. And this is going to print let's play blackjack, and then your turn. And it's going to draw 2 cards automatically to simulate a hand, obviously. So it's going to print out your hand and your score or your hand value, and you're able to hit or stay pressing either 1 or 2. And if you press 1 or if you type in 1, then you get to draw. If you type in 2, then you don't draw, and you just basically end your turn. If you get 21, you get blackjack. Congratulations. As you can see, the while loop goes. The while loop keeps going until the hand value is equal to or greater than 21. So if it equals 21, you have blackjack. It's going to print out blackjack. If it's greater than 21, it's going to say busted, and it's going to add that busted value to busted P, and then reset the hand value to 0, like I said, to make comparing hands a lot more easier. And then it's going to copy that value from hand over to hand P, basically your hand, the hand value to hand value P, so it makes comparing values a lot more easier. And then resets HV to 0 and a hand to an empty string. So now we press any number to continue, like I said, to make it easier to understand what's going on and slow the game down a bit. And then it's going to simulate the opponent's turn. It's going to go through comp play, which we just went through, and then we're going to compare that hand to hando, or we're going to copy hand to hando, and hand value to hand value opponent. And then, like I said, it's we do this to compare hands a lot more easier. So if compare hands equals equals 1, meaning the player, which is us, has the higher value, it's going to print out our final hand, our final score, the opponent's hand, and the opponent's score, and it's going to print out that we win. If compare hands equals a -1, meaning that the opponent has the higher value, then it's going to do the same thing. It's going to print out our hand and score, and then it's going to print out opponent's hand and score, and then say that we're going to lose. If it equals 0, meaning there's a draw or a tie, same thing, print out hand and score, opponent's hand and score, it's going to say tie game, then resets the hand value and the hand string. And then finally, it's going to ask whether I want to play or not. If we want to, press 1. If not, press 2. And if it's 1 again, then it's going to redo this entire thing again from up here. So let's see it in action. Give me a sec. Here we go. So we got a 7 of hearts and a 10 of hearts. So our score is 17. We're going to stay quite safe. Then we'll press any number to continue. It's going to be our opponent's turn. He has an ace of diamonds and a 4 clubs. So his score is 15. Press any number. 7 of diamonds. Normally this would equate to 22, meaning that the opponent will bust, but like I said, aces count as 1 or 11, so it basically removed 10 from the score, making aces 1, so now we have 12. And our next card was a jack of diamonds. mean it's going to add that to tenor back, and it's not going to change the score again, meaning that the opponent's busted. So our final hand was a 7 of hearts and a 10 of hearts, and our final score was 17. Our opponent's final hand was Ace of Diamonds, 4 clubs, 7 of diamonds, and Jack of Diamonds, and their final score is a 22, and we win. So let's play again. Let's try to lose this time. Let's just, for instance, hit. Oh, we got a blackjack. Look at that. So we got a Jack of Hearts, 8 of Spades, 18, and we get a 3 of Clubs, making our score 21 exactly. So we just got a blackjack. Opponent's turn, 2 of Clubs, 2 of Diamonds. Their score is a 4. 9 of Diamonds scores 13. And they get a 9 of Clubs. Their score is 22. They're busted. And we end up winning. Let's play again. Let's try to lose this time. We got 12, 15. We get a blackjack again. We win again. So we got Queen of Hearts and King of Hearts. That's it. We got 7 of Spades. We bust. So our opponent gets a 17 exactly, and that means we lose. We had a 27. We busted, and our opponent has a 17, which means they win. So let's go and end that. And that was my blackjack program. I'm gonna try to, like I said, put this in a GUI later on. But for right now, this is just going to be our terminal code for right now. So we just get that out of the way. So yeah.